Hey guys, my name is Kenneth Bakos, and today I'll be speaking about the video games in Japan. So in this topic, I will go over what we'll be going over the PowerPoint today. So I'm going to speak about the history of video games, Japanese video games, spread of Japanese games, piracy, and why the Japanese video games were important, in my opinion, and through popular culture. Alright, here's a quick overview of history of video games. So, video games can be defined as a game played by electronically manipulating images produced by a computer program on a television screen. So that's how the dictionary defines it as, but video games can mean anything to various individuals. Personally to me, video games are a way to escape from real life stress and all that, but just be mindful of your real life responsibilities as well. Alright, so video games first started as a game of tennis known as Pong. A little animation on the right, you can see Pong being played. So it was first played on a oscilloscope, which was one of those medical devices that I believe checked for like heartbeats or things like that. Early medical device. Excuse me. Also, the Atari was one of the first personal game machines that took off in the 70s. Atari was one of the first game companies that used Pong as a way to advertise how home gaming could be. So later on in the 70s, the Sega Genesis followed, Nintendo Entertainment System followed, Sony PlayStation, Microsoft, Xbox, and many more companies also hopped on the bandwagon of video games. So with that said, game evolution is ever growing in today's ever-changing world. It's a multi-million-dollar business. At the moment, it's almost as big as movies itself. So video games in today's popular culture revolve on the idea of competition and unity. It's a yin and yang, I'd say. Competition in terms of people going against each other in a competitive environment like Counter-Strike Go, which is a first-person shooter. And it can also bring unity. So let's say when you're younger, you brought your friends over to play the new game that was just released. It often brought people together by offering a subject to talk about. Alright, next we'll talk about Japanese video games. Right now and before, Japan is huge in the realm of video games, in the realm of esports, which is very competitive video game playing. So some esports could be League of Legends, which is very popular. CSGO again is a first-person shooter, and so many more other games. Virtual reality is pretty good. Arcades, and lastly, gambling is a huge thing. I know it's not considered as a video game, but it could be believed to be thought as a video game, but not really. Japan's biggest video game developer, Nintendo, became an instant hit when it became the holder of a Guinness World Record in terms of being the most influential in terms of PC gaming. So they were the holder of that, and many people were started to respect Nintendo after that. Not only were video games huge, but pachinkos were huge as well. Like I said earlier, they're similar to games, but in regards to gambling instead. Game design was deeply influenced by Japanese culture. Some Japanese games, obviously. Yakuza 6, on the upper left side, you can see that you can play as a character who you can roleplay as a Yakuza gang member and maybe explore town and roleplay what a typical Yakuza member would be doing. And on the right hand side, Okami, you can see the artwork there. It has Japanese artwork that is really, really beautiful. So Japanese games can really depict how players can appreciate Japanese art, or roleplay as a Yakuza member and play the game to however they want, and as well explore as Japan. So let's go ahead and go to the spread of Japanese video games. Japan's very popular in video games, especially through its neighboring Asian countries. Nintendo created their popular games such as Mario series, Pokemon, Smash Brothers game series, and all other games, which moved millions of copies worldwide. Even today, I believe a new Smash Brothers is coming out this week, and many people are ordering that game already. So you can tell it's going to be a big hit, not only in Japan but over here in the States, overseas. Japan design and artwork and culture was also implemented in games. So like I said, in Okami, you can be playing with mythical Japanese figures or deities, like said over here, and which is really cool if you're not familiar with that Japanese culture of things. In Korea, Japan's neighboring country, it wanted to stop its competition and keep its nationalistic values, so they put a ban on Japanese sentiment as well as other nations. So piracy is another thing to touch about. It became popular when technology evolved, so people pirated Japanese songs, art, and as they evolved too, piracy did evolve too. So with naps, I guess, file sharing websites, that's considered piracy. Lastly, censorship of Japanese media in South Korea. Censorship happened when Korea banned Japanese sentiment from going in to Korea itself, so it banned video games, artwork, and all that stuff. And it began in 1945, and later, I believe, they put the ban down in the 90s. So pachinko machines were also smuggled as piracy as well. Pirated copies of games, music, and other Japanese created goods were also passed along and smuggled into Korea, even when it was banned. So why is it important? It's important because Japan is one of the most influential places from the world. We do get our fashion sense from Japan as well. I know in America we do borrow some Japanese culture. So like kimonos, we wear it here appropriately. Fashion, video games, art, music, we appreciate all of those. And without the spread of that popular culture or the Japanese culture itself being popular within other nations, that's why it's pretty neat that video games leached out of Japan and spread to other nations, which gave us wonderful games. So it is important because, lastly, it allowed us to see how popular culture may spread. So like I said, games, Japanese games in particular, they were pirated out, and I know they taught us to see a different perspective of how Japanese cultures may influence games and allow us to see a different side of Japan and its beautiful culture. Alright, thank you, and that should be it.